Under Operation Sindoor, Indian armed forces carried out measured and precise strikes on 9 terrorist camps.
There is detailed Operation Sindoor by the Indian forces in retaliation to the Pahalgam terror attack.
ऑपरेशन सिंदूर ने आतंक के खिलाफ एक नई लकीर खींच दी।
The 7th of May, when India targeted terror infrastructure deep inside Pakistan.
It's a moment like the kind we perhaps hadn't seen since we went across to Bangladesh or East Pakistan in 1971.
The response to the April 22 Pahalgam terror attack echoes throughout the world.
It was a war of networks. It was basically an attrition war where we never entered into Pakistan and we were able to penetrate deep into Pakistan at the same time.
1 year of Operation Sindoor, 1 year of strengthened Indian military deterrence, 1 year of exposing Pakistan's lies. On the 22nd of April 2025, in the serene Baisaran meadows of Jammu and Kashmir's Pahalgam, innocent blood was spilled. Pakistan-backed terrorists approached tourists, questioning the men about their religion, demanding they recite the Kalma, an Islamic verse. Those who failed were shot dead in front of their wives and children. 26 people lost their lives. The devastating visuals of women who lost their husbands stirred a nation, igniting widespread anger and a demand for justice. The killings of the innocent tourists did not go unanswered. In the wee hours of the 7th of May 2025, India launched Operation Sindoor, hitting hard at the terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. These were the places from where terrorist attacks against India have been planned and directed for years together. Soon after the attack, the Indian Army posted this image on social media. Operation Sindoor, written in block letters. Synindur in Hindi means vermilion, and the name Operation Sindoor is a reference to the vermilion many Hindu women wear on their heads to signify they are married. The name of the operation paid homage to the loss of these women, whose partners were brutally killed right before their eyes. Operation Sindoor humanized the victims and the survivors of the Pahalgam massacre in an effort to ensure their sacrifices are remembered. 1 year later, what does Operation Sindoor mean for India and for the world? How did these missions redefine counter-terror strategy? And was this a new template for modern warfare? At 1:05 a.m. IST on May 7, 2025, Wednesday, the Indian Armed Forces launched its most daring strikes in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Codenamed Operation Sindoor, was carried out jointly by the Army, the Navy and the Air Force from Indian soil. A series of precision strikes destroyed 9 terrorist bases inside Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Of the 9 targets that the Indian forces hit, 4 were in Pakistan and 5 in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. India's Operation Sindoor is unique, marking a shift in Indo-Pakistan military dynamics. For the first time in history, India targeted terror camps in the heart of Pakistan, Punjab. In just 22 minutes, the operation struck 9 locations.
In the 1971 war, the Indian Army could never reach Rawalpindi, Lahore, or deep down into those areas of Pakistan, which we were able to do in Operation Sindoor. So I think that was one great doctrinal shift as far as the operation was concerned. Secondly, today, the political and the military objectives, whatever are enshrined or dictated by the political establishment, demand a rapid, instantaneous response. Today, the enemy is not going to give you any time for preparation.
Previously, the 2016 Uri surgical strikes, 2019 Balakot airstrikes, and other past Indian operations were limited in scale and scope. In the 2016 Uri surgical strikes, the army crossed the line of control to destroy terror launch pads in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. In the 2019 Balakot airstrike, a dozen Air Force Mirage fighter jets streaked around 20 kilometers past the LOC to target Jaish training camps in Balakot. In 2025, Operation Sindoor was conceived not just as a retaliatory show of force, but an attempt to strike at the very roots of terrorism originating from Pakistani soil. Operation Sindoor is technologically robust, expansive, and unlike any other mission India has ever carried out. It is a departure from prior doctrine.
Unlike some of the other responses, this is not just on the military dimension. It's reached a level of doctrine where we have enunciated, where the Prime Minister has enunciated very clearly that this is now the new normal. So we are not only going to look at terrorists as the enemy, but also the sponsors, the state sponsors of terrorism, also as our legitimate adversaries. And I think this is one occasion which marks the coming together of the diplomatic effort, the economic effort, the efforts such as in the Indus Water Treaty, abrogation or suspension. And therefore, if you want to take away one line, one sentence from all of this, I think our response toolkit has graduated way beyond simple military action. So that, I think, is the defining moment for India.
India launched standoff cruise missiles at the camps affiliated to banned terror groups, Jaish-e-Mohammed in Bahawalpur and Lashkar-e-Taiba in Muridke. Bahawalpur has been the JEM's base since the release of its founder, UN-designated terrorist Masood Azhar in 1999. Jaish-e-Mohammed has been behind major attacks in India, including Pulwama in 2019 and the Parliament in 2001. Led by Hafiz Saeed from Muridke, the LET orchestrated the 2008 Mumbai attacks. Let's take a look at each target. Target 1, Markaz Subhan Allah, Jaish-e-Mohammed, Bahawalpur, Punjab, Pakistan. The Markaz was the operational headquarters of the JEM and is associated with the terrorists who plotted and executed the Pulwama suicide bombing attack on February 14, 2019. The Markaz housed JEM chief Maulana Masood Azhar and held religious training for terrorists. In a statement attributed to Azhar, who was arrested in India in 1994 and released after the Air India IC-814 hijack, claimed 10 family members and 4 aides were killed in India's targeted airstrikes under Operation Sindoor. Target 2, Markaz Taiba, Lashkar-e-Taiba, Muridke, Punjab. Set up in the year 2000, Markaz Taiba was the alma mater and training center of the LET in Muridke, Punjab, Pakistan. The 2611 terrorists were trained here. Osama bin Laden reportedly financed the construction of a mosque and guest house within the Markaz Taiba complex in 2000. Target 3, Sarjal, Tera Kalan Facility, Jaish-e-Mohammed, Shakargarh, Narwal District, Punjab, Pakistan. Tera Kalan, or the Sarjal facility, was the launch site of the JEM for infiltration into Jammu and Kashmir. It served as a base for digging cross-border tunnels to send terrorists into India. Target 4, Mehmoona Joya Facility, Hizbul Mujahideen, Head Marala, Sialkot. Located near the Kotli Bhutta Government Hospital in the Marala area of Sialkot district in Punjab, Pakistan. This facility was used to infiltrate Hizbul Mujahideen terrorists into the Jammu region. Target 5, Markaz Al-e-Hadith Barnala, Lashkar-e-Taiba, Bimber District, Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. It was used to infiltrate LET terrorists as well as arms and ammunition into the Poonch, Rajouri, Riasi sector. Target 6, Markaz Abbas Jaish-e-Mohammed Kotli, located 2 kilometers southeast of Kotli military camp. It harbored 100 to 125 JEM terrorists. Target 7, Mashkar Rahil Shahid, Hizbul Mujahideen, Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Located 2.5 kilometers from the Mahuli Puli in Kotli district in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, Mashkar Rahil Shahid had been one of the oldest facilities of Hizbul Mujahideen. A facility for specialized physical training as well as training in firing arms. Target 8, Shawai Nalla Camp, Lashkar-e-Taiba, Muzaffarabad, Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. One of the most important camps of LET that was used for recruitment, registration and training of LET terrorists. It had been functioning since the early 2000s. Target 9, Syedna Bilal Markaz, Jaish-e-Mohammed, Muzaffarabad, Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Syedna Bilal Masjid, the main center of JEM, was another target located opposite the Red Fort in Muzaffarabad. This facility was a transit camp for JEM terrorists before they were launched into Jammu and Kashmir. As a response, on the night of May 7th to May 8th, 2025, Pakistani forces orchestrated a multi-wave assault, directing drones and missiles towards crucial military installations and several Indian cities, including Awantipora, Srinagar, Jammu, Pathankot, Amritsar, Ludhiana, and Bhuj. India's air defense grid was put to the test as swarm drones, also dubbed loitering munitions, they entered the Indian airspace from Pakistan. India successfully thwarted all missile and drone attacks by Islamabad. On the 10th of May 2025, after days of missile, drone and artillery attacks, Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar posted on X that India and Pakistan have worked out an understanding on stoppage of firing and military action. Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri also informed that India and Pakistan, in a call between the Director Generals of Military Operations of the countries at 3:30 p.m. IST, agreed they would stop all firing and military action on land and in the air and sea, with effect from 5 p.m. on the 10th of May 2025. On the 15th of December 2025, 6 months after Operation Sindoor, India's National Investigation Agency charge-sheeted 7 accused in the Pahalgam terror attack case. including the Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Taiba, the Resistance Front terrorist organization. NIA's charge sheet also named 3 Pakistani terrorists killed by Indian security forces during the attack in Operation Mahadev in Synindur in July 2025, weeks after the deadly terror attack. The 3 were identified as Faisal Jat alias Suleiman Shah, Habib Tahir alias Gibran, and Hamza Afghani. Operation Sindoor marked a clear and calculated shift in how India chooses to deal with cross-border terrorism. The operation was designed with a sharp clarity of purpose to target and dismantle terror infrastructure responsible for attacks against India. In just 22 minutes, that objective was achieved through a coordinated joint strike that hit 9 key terror camps and neutralized over 100 terrorists, sending a strong message. What made this operation different was not just the strikes itself, but what happened after. India showed that it knew when to start action and, more importantly, when to stop, ending the operation as soon as its main goals were met.
We created a space for calibration with a variety of ways. First of all, India has known credible nuclear capability, but we also have a first no-use policy. That gives you a space to have a deterrence without actually provoking the enemy into doing something stupid. The second is that India only attacked terrorist infrastructure till the time Pakistanis did otherwise. And third is, it is the Pakistanis which were first to strike our military infrastructure. So all of this shows you that we were calibrating it step by step.
The strikes were limited, carefully planned, and non-escalatory, with a focus on avoiding civilian casualties and keeping collateral damage to a minimum. This approach defines India's new normal, a zero-tolerance policy against terrorism, where responses are quick, precise, and well-controlled. It also shows a move away from only diplomatic restraint to a more proactive approach where threats are dealt with at their source and action is taken on India's terms. Reflecting back on the achievements of the operation, India's Defense Minister Rajnath Singh recently said in a statement, and I quote, "Operation Sindoor demonstrated a shift from old mindset of issuing diplomatic statements on terror attacks. It showcased Prime Minister Narendra Modi-led government's unwavering commitment through decisive action." The impact of Operation Sindoor on Pakistan was not limited to the strikes. It extended far beyond, with serious consequences for Pakistan across different levels. Pakistan attempted retaliatory drone and UCAV strikes on Indian military installations. But these attacks were successfully neutralized by India's air defense systems, limiting their impact and preventing further escalation. The damage within Pakistan was significant. The strikes targeted and hit key terror camps and infrastructure, while also affecting military assets such as radars and aircraft, causing disruption and strain on its defense network.
The precision was excellent. The intelligence gathering was excellent because we could pinpoint the 8-figure grid reference of every location we wanted to target. And with pinpoint accuracy, as a matter of fact, the circular error of probability, that is the CEP, which is laid out for each weapon system, was less than 3 meters. And that is a very good measure of precision which we achieved as far as the destruction of their air bases was concerned, destruction of their terrorist camps were concerned.
The situation also had a strong economic impact as India took major steps that added pressure on Pakistan's already struggling economy. The suspension of the Indus Waters Treaty created serious concerns for Pakistan's agriculture sector, which depends heavily on these water sources, affecting a large part of its farmland. In addition, India closed the Atari-Wagah border and suspended all trade, cutting off an important route for commerce and further deepening economic disruption. For over 3 decades, Pakistan has continued to support a terror network that has proven to be resilient, adapting itself with time but never truly changing its core strategy. Through the years, several terror outfits like Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed and Hizbul Mujahideen have been linked to attacks in India. They may operate under different names, but their structure, support systems and funding channels have continued. The Pahalgam attack, along with other attacks and foiled plots, highlights how this network continues to function.
Reams and reams and reams of evidence has been printed on the subject that the terrorist infrastructure is very much part of the Pakistani strategic calculus. Actually, if you read any number of great literature on the Pakistani strategic culture, you would realize that their antipathy for India, which goes beyond Kashmir, by the way, which is not just limited to Kashmir, is something where they have kind of mastered the art of doing things without owning up, and that can only happen when there is terrorist infrastructure.
Operation Sindoor sent a clear message to the world about India's military strength and how it is rapidly evolving. What stood out was the level of coordination, where the Army, Navy and Air Force worked together as one integrated force, carrying out a precise intelligence-based operation across land, air and sea. The operation also highlighted India's growing use of advanced technology, showing how modern warfare is now being fought. And at the center of this transformation was the use of indigenous systems, including a Kashtir or Akash missile system. At the core was also the BrahMos missile, which, as India's Defense Minister Rajnath Singh pointed out, has become a key backbone of India's strike capability, known for its speed, precision and long-range power.
So I think the manufacture of BrahMos will also see an increase, and we would see a greater amount of stockpiling also happening as far as BrahMos is concerned. And the last important aspect is the air defense. See, we are working on a project Kusha, which is basically going to give us 3 types of interceptors, M1, M2 and M3. So I think in a future we need to have a more robust air defense system in which it is not only stopping those missiles which will be launched by Pakistan, but also drones.
1 year after Operation Sindoor, its impact continues to shape India's security thinking and the region's strategic reality. What started as a response to the Pahalgam attack has now become a clear signal of the country's approach: swift, precise, and controlled. The message is simple: terror will be answered, and it will be done on India's terms.